innovative content, global audience.
Hello, good morning, Nigeria. It is a beautiful day here in the Federal Capital Territory. The sun is up, we are glowing, and this is Wake Up Nigeria from SRO TV. I'm broadcasting live from Abuja, and of course, I'll be joined this morning with Daddy KRIS from our London studio. How are you doing this morning, Daddy KRIS?
I'm here. It's cold, getting better.
How is London today?
It's still cold, but not bad. No, it's not the worst. So this is the time we enjoy London. Not too cold, not too hot. Yes, we're in that time.
All right, that is nice. Nigerians, how are you doing this morning? Hope you're fine. The situation reports in from your end. Of course, so we have a lot of trending issues today that KRIS on the show. We could see that INEC also INEC has given a Labour Party, of course, the privilege to I don't know if it's a privilege or the right to come and go through, inspect the materials, of course. And that is something that INEC, Labour Party did yesterday. Also, they went to the INEC headquarters here in Abuja with so much people, and of course, he went with about I think 60 lawyers to inspect these materials. And so they are meeting as we speak, and I think hopefully we'll get the result today. And of course, we have issues of Buhari, of course, bowing to the pressure from Labour, from Labour, and of course from from Nigerians. Well, of course, people have been crying, people have been wailing. Torment is a serious torment over here for how many weeks now, and of course, I think they bow to pressure. So of course, allow people release more naira notes for people to access their monies. CBN okays also this morning the use of old naira notes from 1,000 down after Buhari's denying. Of course, we see a lot of headlines this one. You'll be shocked, and that's why we always tell you that a lot of these offices, they don't know what they're doing. They are confused. This one says this one say I'm not aware, I'm aware. And this, in fact, I saw a very interesting capture this morning that I want us to go through. And then like a Emefiele buying to pressure, says old naira notes a legal tender. This is coming from the CBN governor after all the battle, the fights, the torment, the suffering on Nigerians. So my point is, why the sufferings, why the torments, why the hardship? It's really not called for. Anyways, we'll move quickly this morning to. Yes, go ahead, Adikris, I can hear you.
I mean, it's a pity, and
go ahead, I can hear you.
You know, I'm a strong believer in the currency change, but I guess these guys cannot stand pressure. You know.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Go ahead, loud and clear.
Yes, I said that.
Loud and clear.
It amounts to the mistake in the delivery of the new naira note. Even though the attempt to change the old naira note was a good one, it was a legitimate attempt, but the way they went about it, not providing enough new naira notes, kind of made the system a failure, and that is what. So they have no excuse right now. If you want to change the money, it's not a problem, but give us the new notes. I think that's where the challenge is, where Nigerians turn against it. If not, it is still true that our money are in the backyard of some idiots. They need to bring it out. Unfortunately, Buhari cannot do this. I don't see Tinubu even looking in that direction. What a disaster for a nation. I keep my mouth shut.
It's a disaster. It is a disaster. It is a disaster. It's really shameful that this is coming from CBN governor after all the battle, after all the I'm a superman, this must stand, this policy is here to stay, and then we are back to where we're coming from. How about it's not right on the part of these people? And of course, they've really suffered Nigerians to the extent of now Labour is even giving a 7-day ultimatum to the federal government as regarding this issue. And then I think that it wasn't called for. This is I feel like it's all politically motivated. Anyway, if you ask me, that is my personal opinion. Yeah, anyway, we move on quickly this morning to the newspaper review.
Yes. When you deal with this, everything is political. So I can understand that. But what, like I said, like the Supreme Court weighing into what I would call a political decision, it wasn't. The change of currency is not a constitutional thing. It's a political decision that the federal government made, and the CBN find a way within the law to counter it. And that is where we find ourselves. Truth be said, the attempt to change Naira was a good one. I can keep anytime I see, because if you imagine the amount of Naira stuck in some foolish people backyard, you will be sad. And for that reason, it's a legitimate. I think any reasonable government would say, hey, bring out that money, let's deal with it. It's just the same way Nigerian government could not handle the issue of oil of subsidy. The same oil subsidy that is eating us, killing us. We are not ready to deal with it. The same way we're not ready to deal with this. How can it help us? That is my question. I know they handled this wrongly. They should have given us enough new Naira notes so that we can get on with our lives. The attempt, this honorable attempt to save our Naira, our economy, has been unfortunately humiliated. And I'm very sad. I'm not sad because
wow, that's a good one.
Suffering. I am sad.
I will move on this morning with the newspaper.
Okay, let's go. Better go with the newspaper. I hope your network will allow us to do this job, Princess. Because sometimes,
yes, we'll get back to that particular topic. Yes, because of course that is even what is more topical today. Funny enough, on all the dailies today, that is the Naira swap policy. That is the major story we are having today, and of course Peter Obi versus INEC. This is another story that is quite topical today, and so we're going to get back on that story. But quickly, I'm going to run through the newspapers headlines this morning, and then I'm going to begin with the Daily Trust newspaper, and these are some of the stories making waves this morning. We have here old Naira notes, legal tender again. This is coming from CBN.
Yes.
I want you to underline that word.
Yourself well, Princess, so we
legal
can see
tender again. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, but position yourself well so we can see your face as well.
Yes, sir.
All right. Like if you move yourself well, thank you, man. That's what I want to achieve. Well done. That's beautiful. Okay, go on. Thank you. So that I can change the set.
All right, sir. So this is coming from CBN this morning. Old Naira notes, legal tender again. That means we are back to where we're coming from. We are back to where we were, and this is not really a good one. But who am I to judge anyway? They are the ones that are the power that be. And then we have on the right, and the writer says we have no reason not to comply with Supreme Court judgment. This is coming from Buhari. And we have another writer here that says banks struggle to meet customers' needs. The banks here are struggling to meet with the needs of Nigerians, of course. And we have another writer here that says pensions decry Naira scarcity. Pensioners decries Naira scarcity. Says we are in pain. It is. We have another writer here that say it is good news. Traders, POS operators, they are happy that of course that the old Naira note are now legal tender, because since we cannot get the new one, let's go back to where we're coming from, isn't it? And that is why the traders are happy. They are happy today. Even POS operators. And then we have another story. We have another story here. It's quite a sad one. Fire destroys 100 shops, stalls in Kanu Senga markets. That's story of the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. And then we'll have another story here that say National Assembly leadership. I have not endorsed anyone, says President-elect. This is coming from Tinubu, and that story could be seen on page 9 of the Daily Trust newspaper. We also have another story here that says we have nothing to hide. INEC chair Obi's lawyers. Now this is coming from INEC chairman. He says we have nothing. They have nothing to hide. This information is given to Obi's lawyer, of course. And so they are saying that they are going to make every information available, of course, for Obi's legal team to inspect, and that is a good one. Of course, let this issue come and go. Let's know where we stand as a nation.
We need to move ahead.
We have another story here. Tinubu's election. rejection of religious, yes, rejection of religious hatred, centering politics, presidency. And then we have another story here that says Nigerians to pay 1,000 naira fee for NIN integration verification. This story is on page 23 of the Daily
Trust.
Morning. So you want to go and see the full story there. We have another story here. ISTB donates 1 million naira storage marketers in Kano. That story is on page 7 of the Daily Trust newspaper. And then we have a major story here that says violence, 7 states to watch ahead of governorship polls. And then we talked about this yesterday also. And of course, Delta, I think Ekiti, some other state, Rivers are among these states that have been outlined to look out for ahead of the upcoming election. And then we'll quickly go this morning to national economy, the paper National Economy. These are some of the stories making waves this morning. We have the major headlines here that says Naira scarcity. On the national economy this morning, we have the major headlines. I'm going to take that one again. Naira scarcity, e-payments failure compounds Nigerians' woe. Of course, it's not just about the scarcity of Naira, but this is supposed to be a cashless economy. We're supposed to be using our cards, our mobile phone transfer, but none of these are actually going through. Most time we're stuck. You get something and then you're not able to pay with your card or with your transfer either, because the network here is even a problem also. But hopefully, we think those issues will be resolved soon, and we're really hoping on that. And then these are some of the riders this morning from national economy. We have persistent hiccups, discredits 100 billion digital investment claims. We have another one here, financial transactions worst hits, meaning that in recent time, these transactions we're doing recently, this period, I think is the worst we've seen so far. Of course, since my adult life, this is the worst thing I've seen, that your card cannot pay, you cannot make transfer, and you don't have cash either. So where do we go from here? I leave that for Nigerians and of course the authority to judge. And then we have another one here. Hackers on pros, lynches on situations to inflict pains, meaning hackers are taking advantage of this whole situation to inflict more pains on Nigerians, and it's really a sad one. We have another story here on the national economy. One of the stories we're having this morning, it's farmers set agenda for Tinubu. This story is on page 22 of the nation economy. We have another story here, Beavers, IRIVES, disappointment and the way forward. Of course, this is something the INEC chairman and of course others want to look into just before we get to the next election, so we don't have the same repeated issues. And that story could be seen or found on page 17 of the news paper. Is making payments digitally worth the wait? I think it's not worth the wait. If you ask me, it's been horrific for Nigerians. There is nobody that has not experienced one issue or the other since this Naira crisis. Of course, the banks are having network issues. The banks, they don't even know the way forward for themselves. So I think it's not worth the wait. We are not waiting. Let us go back to where we're coming from. As far as I'm concerned, let everybody have access to their monies. And of course, I'll move quickly this morning to the Nation newspaper.
The Nation.
And these are some of the stories making waves. Yes, the Nation newspaper. These are some of the stories we have this morning making waves. The major headlines that say CBN okays 1,000 naira, 500 naira notes after Buhari's rebunk. I told you that these people, they don't know what they are doing. And then President, I never asked Emefiele Malami to flag Supreme Court judgment. Now, this is coming from Buhari. If you look at the Nation's paper critically, The major headline says CBN okays 1,500 naira notes. This is the old notes now after Buhari's rebunk. And then the writer says, this is coming from President Buhari now. I never asked Emefiele Malami to flag Supreme Court judgments.
So they are going to start trading
the.
So these guys have been doing. They have been acting on their own. This is serious business.
So we are back.
Serious.
Yes, we are back to the blame game. Of course, this is what they know how to do best. Our leaders, they blame you, they blame others, but they will never take responsibility, and it's really a shame on the part of the leaders.
What a shame!
It's a shame indeed. And then we have another story here. This is coming from the CBN. This is coming from Buhari also. The CBN has no reason not to comply with the court orders on the excuse of waiting for directives from the president. And this is also coming from the presidency. Right. And then we have some of the stories here also says ADP, NNPP, ZLP, 6 others endorses Sanwo-Olu. I think these other parties are stepping down. They're doing a coalition of politics, of course, is not.
I cannot wait to see Sanwo-Olu. Sanwo-Olu is desperate. The man is desperate. You know, I like that. Peter set fire on the mountain. You understand? Lagos is on fire. Guys, come out and vote. Vote.
Yes, that is.
I won't say who to vote for, but I'm happy that these guys have been given a run for their money. You know,
yes,
they are running. It's a great time to be alive. It's a wonderful time. And you don't hear the PDP of those days. You know, all of that PDP. I'm happy APC came to shake them out. And now APC, somebody is shaking you. Now, in fact, all this is in the interest of Nigeria. Trust me. Now, before they do the things they want and they think they get away with it, now they know that business is
not business as usual.
God bless you, man. God bless Nigeria. We are in a great time. It's a wonderful time. Take it easy, people. Good thing is coming. By the time Tinubu lost his own state, in fact, Okowa, who is running for vice president, lost in Delta State. And now they know they're not even getting Delta for governorship. We should be celebrating.
Of course. We move on quickly. We move on quickly to Lagos Airport runway shut for repairs. Flights won't be affected. That story is, of course, is on page 11 of the Nation newspaper. We have another story here. Appeal court reserves judgment in a delicate suit. This is the Oyo governor, Osun governor, beg your pardon. And then we have another high energy cost affecting manufacturing, says MAN on page 9 of the newspaper. And then we have another story here that
are you aware of what is the current development with that Osun State governorship thing? What are they? Where is he? The guy still in office? What are they doing?
Yes, the guy is still there. Of course, you have to wait for the full judgment from the court before you could
the court has
go further.
Now they keep him there, and probably they're going to spend a lot of money at the higher court, and he's going to remain governor. And after whose money is he spending now?
Yes.
Whose money?
Yes, and that
spending the money, wasting the resources of the state. Look at what happened in my community. I have to say this. I know this is not something you bring on the national news. I have my king who has served for 10 years, and now all of a sudden the court said the system that brought him into office is to traverse, meaning it's out of order, it's unlawful, and the man should be removed. And I said to myself, what about the 10 years he has run the community? It's not going back to where we're coming from. Sorry, Princess. Let me not disturb you this morning because we are in the run.
It's relevant, so you can say that these are things people take clues from. And if you say, like we saw this morning, appeal court reserves judgment in a delicate suit. They are reserving it. I don't know for whatever reason, but of course, you want to see that story, you go on page 6 of the Nation newspaper. And then we'll have a story here also that says, February 25th poll, Nigeria's best ever, says president. How can this be the best election? This your guy, I know he's your man, but Buhari is not doing us well. I don't believe this is the legacy he wants to leave behind for Nigerians. It's really a sad
no.
Yes. APC to decide zoning of National Assembly offices after elections. This story is, of course, on page 4 of the Nation newspaper. And then we have a story here. INEC chair to APC, LP, PDP, and others. You will have access to all documents. This story is on page 4 of the Nation newspaper. And then we have another story here.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, something skipped my mind. I don't know which states, which of the party have the highest in the Senate. Is it APC still? Are they producing the Senate
That
president?
is something I'm going to do the analysis later, and maybe I'll tell you that tomorrow.
Yes,
on the
please.
show.
Let's know, because now that the battle for the Senate presidency is now on the move, they must know they have won, and which party is that? Because PDP is dead anyway, so APC must have had that advantage because PDP is not a party anymore. So I'm sure APC still have the Senate. Go on.
And then we'll have a story here coming from PDP. Say no to idle, clueless, deceitful, Jabba politicians. This is coming from Sheyi Makinde, of course, of PDP. And he said, he went further to say, 4 years of Sheyi Makinde's purposeful administration have earned him the support and endorsement of every credible person and the institution in Oyo State. This is coming from PDP. You want to see more of that on the story on page 18 of the newspaper. And then we move up quickly to the Punch newspaper, and these are some of the stories making waves this morning on the Punch newspaper. We have the major headlines here on Punch newspaper. Says Emefiele finally bows to pressure, says old Naira notes, legal tender. You could see that story on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. And the writer says, CBN directs banks to accept disburse old 1,500 naira, 200 naira redesign bank notes. So we are using both. At this point, we're using both. And then there's another story here. Disobeying court order undermines rule of law, constitution, democracy. This is coming from the NBA president. We have another story here that say the AGF CBN governor don't need Buhari's directive to obey Supreme Court, says presidency. Presidency don't put their body commode now, leave Emefiele hanging.
When you see talk like this, you go remove your body now.
Could be found or seen. All these stories could be seen on page 2 of the Punch newspaper this morning. You want to, of course, get a copy for yourself and go through that story. It's quite an interesting story if you ask me. And of course, we have another story here this morning that says federal government probes theft in $1.1 billion oil well. The money is huge if you ask me. That story is on page 19 of the Punch newspaper. And then we'll have another story here that says Nigerians to pay 1,000 naira fee, NIN fee, for passports. This is on page 19 of the newspaper. And then we'll have another story here that says federal government shuts Lagos airport's runway, divides international flights. Of course, that story is on page 20 of the newspaper. And then we have another story here. I wasn't part of the search for a kidney donor, Ekweremadu's wife. Now the wife is pulling out.
Everybody go save your head now. It's time.
It's time. And that story is on page 8 of the newspaper. And then we'll have another story here on the Punch. This is the last story, and it says Tinubu has no preferred candidate for National Assembly leadership. This is coming from Shettima, Tinubu's vice. Is saying Tinubu has not picked or does not have a preferred choice as of today. Of course, politicians, I will always say they cannot be trusted. If they say one thing, I know they will do another the next thing. So we've seen that from the likes of Wike and Co. And then they cannot be trusted as far as I'm concerned.
Anytime I hear Wike, I just burst into laugh. That your boyfriend, your crush.
Well, and then we have a quickly go to the Blueprint newspaper this morning. Of course, after the review, we cannot pick on 1 or 2 topics just before we go, viewers. And so be patient with us as I go through the reviews. We have the Blueprint newspaper with me here this morning, and these are some of the stories making waves this morning. Supreme Court orders on Naira redesign. After Buhari's blast, NLC governors threats. After Buhari's blast, NLC governors threat, Emefiele surrenders. Of course, power, the past power. He has seen and he has
don't blame the guy, yo.
he's under
They're
pressure.
gonna
I
put
could
him in
imagine.
prison. They'll put Emefiele in prison.
Yes, so
These
I
guys.
can imagine the pressure is getting worse by the day.
Yeah.
And then he says, the writer says owed 200 naira, 500 naira, and 1,000 naira remain tender legal tender till December 31st. And then we have another writer here that says excuse of awaiting presidential directives is unattainable. Presidency is even blaming Emefiele for saying that he was waiting for them to reply or to make a statement on that issue, that he is not supposed to wait. He's supposed to immediately
He's the
carry on
governor.
with the
He's the
directive
CBN governor, but he might say something, president may not be happy. Yeah, his boss. You understand? The guy was between the devil and the deep blue sea. If he said this, president may not be happy. I'm waiting for president. President say, hey, why did you wait for me? Okay. Emefiele, you're on the run. Me, I don't pity
and you're on your own as he stands. He's on his own.
Yes.
They've left him behind. And then we have another story here on the Blueprint newspaper this morning that you can see on page 5. NAS leadership, no decision on zoning yet. This is coming from APC. And then we have another story under it that says we are more. Yeah, it says we are more concerned. This is coming from APC, of course. We are more concerned with the governorship and House of Reps polls. Clerk dumps Okowa, PDP, and embraces Labour Party. This is coming from Delta State this morning, and that other stories could be seen on page 5 of the newspaper. That is just for Okowa. Yes. Changes are coming. We're going to see more of changes this period, of course. That is politics. They move with the trend. And then we have another story here this morning that says on page 20, JAMB shifts mock UTME to March 30th. We have another story here also that says, I guess that's because of the elections. And then we have another story here that says Yobe Auditor General backs 5 years jail for 19.9 million fraud on page 9 of the Blueprint newspaper. We have another story here that says NCC approve. That place is not very clear, but I'm going to go to the next one. Police rescue kidnapped Ogun journalist. Yes, I saw that story yesterday, and it was unhurt. But of course, some of the kidnappers were shot, and we really do hope well, kudos to the security personnel on that. They did well, and that is all we can take this morning on the Blueprint newspaper. We'll move quickly to the Leadership newspaper this morning. And these are some of the stories making waves this morning. As a scarcity of Naira bites harder, President Buhari disowned Emefiele, Malami over the defense of Supreme Court.
I like this disown, you know. I like that one. Disown.
Yes.
Oh, God, I love this. Our leaders are good.
I said, these people, that is how you know that they don't even care about anybody at this point, because they don't want the blame to be on them, and they've refused over the years to take responsibilities. Of course, that is how you see such things at this point on this Naira redesign policy. At this point, Buhari is disowning Emefiele. Who does that? They've been working hand to hand, if you ask me. So I don't know where this owning is coming from. And these are some of the riders.
I think the headline is Emefiele, you are on your own.
Your own. That's right.
Are on your own. Whether the Tinubu go pursue you, when you hope about money for somewhere.
And Buhari went further to say that he is not responsible for the plight of Nigerians. No, this is not a good one. If you ask me, how can
you say that? Who's responsible?
Part of it. Yes, it's part of it.
Responsible. Baba is responsible. Is he not our president?
Yes, he is responsible. He cannot. So at this point,
this office is too hot for you. don't go. You said I want to be president. Now you are president. You're telling me it's not your responsibility. You know where? Baba,
Yes,
take
that
time.
is too. That is not responsible for the plight of Nigerians. And then we
You
have
know
another
that.
writer here that says old naira notes remain legal tender. CBN governor. This is coming from CBN governor. After Simon, I tell you, say this country in a confusion country is a confused country, confused leaders that they don't know what they're doing. All of them put together. It's quite a shame that a lot of people lost their lives on this process. A lot of businesses went down the drain. A lot of people are suffering. A lot of people are not able to pay their medical bills, and you come up to tell us that it's still legal tender. Till when? It's really sad. It's sad.
It is.
After they've told us that they spent so much in producing the new naira notes.
That's how they waste our money. Maybe they will go to prison. You will see. They'll put him in prison. And it's maybe not the man's fault. And I'm not blaming Emefiele, but you're going to prison. People that are bigger than you are now after you. That's the thing. And I can't help you. President is running now. Who am I to be behind you? Even the Baba, when he send you, they run. Who can be behind you? You are on your own. I don't want to be Emefiele at this moment. You didn't mess for body.
I refuse to be Emefiele. I tell you, this is not a good time to be Emefiele.
I don't want to be him, you know.
And then we have another story here this morning that says Labour gives federal government 7 days to end naira fuel scarcity. This is coming from the Nigerian Labour Congress, and I say good morning to them. They don't wake up, so we say good morning to them.
In fact,
they are just waking up.
They'll be sick. Sick, and in fact they should just shut their mouth up. In fact, this is how they made us.
Daddy Chris, maybe you send me the link to my other line. I had wanted Moses to discuss on this part, just a few words on this particular issue. Why is Labour getting agitated all of a sudden? They have been so quiet. I used to refer to them over the years now as the toothless bulldog, because they have forgotten their mandates. They've been so carried away with politicians, the things they receive, the money they receive, and then they've forgotten about the people they're supposed to stand for. And then I want Moses to talk on that. But quickly, just before we go this morning on leadership, we have another story here that say I have no anointed candidate for Senate President Speaker. This is coming from Tinubu. Of course, now you be pastor when they anoint people. Now you will come and anoint and you won't choose. These people should allow the vote or the process to be transparent. It's not about who they want or why they want a particular person. It's about a process that must be transparent. And then we have another story here on page 4 that says 2023 presidential poll better than the past elections. This is coming from the presidency, and I think
is that foolish man?
This I don't know what to say right now, but that is not a good one. But everybody knows that this election was rigged, and I don't know why they're saying that, but good for them.
Every day, and then it's even annoying me more now. Before I was giving him benefit of that. If he doesn't keep his mouth shut and try to maintain that presidency, because he has to speak like a president now, not like an APC bagger. You know,
I'm thinking that the man has a lot to do, so these are not the things he should be concerned about.
Exactly.
Nigeria right now, the issues are too weighty for him to come and be doing.
He's not thinking in the right direction. No, if Peter had won this election, Peter will be traveling from one place to the other now, thinking of how he's going to solve Nigerian problem, our electricity, our this. That's the kind of consultation this old man should be doing. Not to sit down there, peace for body, they talk all this rubbish. This is the same thing we were talking about. You understand? A true president that see the trouble we're facing should be moving around. You understand? Okay, we have problem with electricity. How do we do it? Now you begin to work with these people, Baba. The man is too old. We said it before. You people said no. Where is he now? Imagine a younger person being president. In the morning we jog, the press will have something to say. You see, this thing we're saying, they don't know what carries the country. People don't understand. Sometimes it's the gimmick, it's the theater of the president that moves the country to the next level. A president have no theater, no swag. Like Buhari never had. This one, we never have a president that had a swag. And that is really killing the morale of the country. Hope was coming with Peter, to be honest. Unfortunately, we didn't embrace it. Go on, Princess. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry.
All right, we have another story here this morning that is saying this is coming from the Nigerian army that says the alleged anti-Tinubu plot. We are nationalistic, apolitical. This is coming from the Nigerian army, and that story is on page 6 of the Leadership newspaper. And then we have another story here on page 8 of the Leadership newspaper that says appeal court reserves judgment in Oshu Guba case. They should have their reason for reserving that judgment. And then we have some of the other headlines here that says Lagos runways repair. Airlines may incur additional costs. Flights delay. Just for those who want, or if you're planning, or you might want to go to Lagos airport, just so you know that there might be additional cost, of course, to your flights, and delay as well, because of the ongoing repairs we're having at Lagos airports right now. And then we have another story here on page 6. Yobe auditor general jailed 5 years for fraud. That story is on page 6 of the news Leadership newspaper. We have another story here. We have 10 days left to file petitions at tribunal. This is coming from Labour Party on page 6 of the Leadership newspaper. And that's all we have this morning on, of course, on the Leadership newspaper. We will quickly move us to the News Direct newspaper. But before then, Daddy Chris, I want you to send a link, of course, the live stream link to my other WhatsApp, the other phone that I don't use, so I can forward to Moses. I need him to make some comments on Labour. Of course, he has been a Labour correspondent for as long as I know, over 10 years, and he's one of the ESCOs when it comes to those covering the beats. So I want him to discuss also on that topic. But I'll move
Yeah,
up
Princess,
quickly this morning.
I hope you know you're going to have me for a few minutes today, because I'm about to
Yes, of
disappear.
course.
Yes.
Yes, of course.
It's
I
done.
have just few more papers and then we are done. I have just few more papers and then we are done for today. And so
Okay.
we quickly take us to quickly we move this morning to News Direct newspaper this morning. From News Direct, Nigerian News Direct, we have the headlines that says old Naira note crisis at last, Buhari CBN bar to pressure, obeying Supreme Court order. This is coming from the old the News Direct. And then the writer says federal government denies directing Malami Emefiele to disobey courts. Says CBN must make money available for circulation. This is coming from the News Direct this morning. And then we have another writer that says that CBN direct banks to accept old Naira notes. So as for today, you can go to the bank and you still get old Naira notes. You still get, of course, you will get the old Naira note is still legal tender. And then we have another writer that says rejection of old notes illegal. This is coming from Sonwolu Abiodu wants businesses. As NLC issues 7 days ultimatum on Naira scarcity. All these stories could be found on page 3 of the News Direct. And we have other stories here that says 9 political parties, Buba candidate endorses Sonwolu for re-election. And that is politics, of course.
They love that Sowolu. Sowolu is on the run.
Yeah.
I like to hear that.
And then, of course, we have another story here that say IJ Global Awards. African Finance Corporation wins the FI of the Year for Europe and Africa on page 2 of the newspaper. We have another story here that says NCC approve harmonized short codes orders implementation. These are some of the stories this morning on the News Direct. And then we have Oramo to give insight on Africa's economic transformation at CBA annual lecture. We have another stories here that say IGP directs commands to conclude the lecturer cases. Handover case filed to INEC for prosecution without delay. This is coming from the IGP, of course. We have another one here that say NIMC partners with immigration to speed up passport insurance. And then we have another story, last story from the News Direct this morning that says post-election litigations, Peter Obi's legal team meets INEC. Of course, we know they met with INEC yesterday, and of course that discussion is still all ongoing. And then we're going to see so that before, maybe hopefully before the end of today. We have some other papers here. We'll quickly just run through and then we'll call it a day. We have also, after News Direct, we'll go quickly to the New Telegraph. And one of the major headlines this morning on New Telegraph is Naira redesign, CBN directs banks to comply with Supreme Court ruling. Of course, says Emefiele not involved in politics. Buhari disowned Malami, CBN governor, over Supreme Court ruling, says majority in support of cashless policy, insists attacks on him unfair. How can Buhari say attack on him is unfair? He's the president. He's the one people will attack.
He doesn't know his job. He doesn't know his responsibility. Don't mind the old man. It's not his fault. The man is not aware.
Yes. NLC threatens nationwide strike over cash crunch, fuel scarcity. Issues 7 days ultimatum to federal government. And then we have another story here that says pension. We have another story here that says pension. Nigerians' investment in offshore market drops by 44% to 18 billion naira. And then we'll have another story here that says IGP to CPs conclude probes into electoral offences, send case file to INEC on page 4. Oil prices fall lowest since January. This is on page 25 of the newspaper. Lagos
when oil prices was high, what did they do with it? Let it fall low.
We have a Lagos Guba, YPP, ADP, NNPP, order 4 others step down for Sanwo-Olu on page 5. And then we have Gubapo. Of course, this is because of the election. We have JAM shift 2023 mock UTME to March 30th. And then we have INEC to Labour Party. We won't hide any document from you. This story, of course, is on page 2 and 3 of the newspaper. We also have another one here, killings, residents fleeing from southern Kaduna. Of course, we saw yesterday on the headings where a lot of people were killed over the weekend, ranging from Kaduna to Katsina and of course Benue, hundreds of people in their numbers. Now people are fleeing from southern Kaduna. Of course, these are the Christian communities. They are running away. God knows where they're running to, and if they even have anywhere to run to. It's really a sad one, and of course.
And there's election coming up, so these people cannot vote. Displace them.
Of course, you talk about your head. Of course, there's a parable in my.
People who are running for their dear life go out to vote. Nigeria, President.
There's a parable running for their dear life.
Yes. And people running for their dear life go out to vote. It's not your fault. We know Buhari is not your fault, but whose fault? People who are being killed, they're not running for their dear life. Election is 2 days from today. Who is responsible? Daddy KRIS is responsible. God bless you. Fact.
Yes, of course, there's a saying in my place that a head cannot be mixing and you are looking for cap. It's not possible. You have to first of all look for the head before you look for the cap. Yes. Their running away is in line. They have to, since the security agencies, of course, the government cannot come to their aid. You have to at some point run for your life. And then we have another story here. Tanko Yakaswa backs a wicked stance on power rotation on page 28. We have another story here that says Jabba syndrome. Yes, Jabba syndrome. US charged 43 Nigerian nurses for forgery on page 5 of the New Telegraph. And then we have another story here. I am not challenging presidential poll process. I beg your pardon, I am challenging presidential pool process, not the outcome. And this is coming from Peter Obi. Says Wike worked against him in Rivers. Stolen mandates cannot be divine will of Nigerians. Debunk LP and PDP partnership. All these you could see on page 2, and they're coming from Peter Obi, saying he
Okay.
is challenging the presidential election process, not the
Process, yes.
outcome. Yes,
And
and
that's
of
what we
course,
do. We call judicial review in
yes,
England.
he went
Yes.
further to say that Wike actually worked against him in Rivers State, and of course, the stolen mandate is not the will of Nigerians. And of course, he also debunked the news that LP is collaborating PDP. There is no partnership as far Peter Obi is concerned. It's one man business he's doing.
This power sharing, this rotational power Wike is talking about, the fool is talking about. I don't understand. The power goes to the north. I don't know whatever it is there, but in the south, I understand we're a little bit more. We have the south, the southwest, and the southeast. That's what made us the south. How come there's no power rotation within the south? You see me that when he goes there, he come back to one part of the south. He go back to there and come back to one other part of the south. So he goes to Hausa, come to Yoruba, go to Hausa, come to Yoruba, go to Hausa. The only time he ever came here was when somebody died and good luck happened to take over. It was by accident.
That's right.
It was by accident. There's no way Goodluck would have been president had it been they had the first election. He was not going to even contest. It was by accident. So what are we talking about here? But Wike didn't know that there's need for power to go to the southeast. He said the power should go back to the Yoruba. You are a stupid man. If you're talking about power rotation, just keep quiet. Don't talk about power rotation. You PDP have failed the country. Continue to fail yourself. And I'm happy in a way that the power never got to them. You know, it's good that it goes to APC again. Let us stay in the wilderness. Oh, wait. Go on, my daughter. Don't have me here because I'll spoil your show.
And then we have another story here. That will be the last story coming from the New Telegraph this morning. I have no preferred candidate for NAS leadership. This is coming from Tinubu, of course, on page 2 of the Telegraph newspaper. We know these are the ways of politicians, but we have another paper here. We're quick. I'm trying to work with your time, Daddy Chris. And then we
My
have
time
another
is
story here
running
coming
out.
from Daybreak. Yes. Just give me a few minutes and we'll quickly finish with this. We have another story here, Daybreak newspaper. The major headline says, "We have nothing to hide." Of course, this is coming from INEC. INEC chairman Mahmood Yakubu declares, "We have nothing to hide." And of course, he promises to make materials for February 25th presidential elections available for inspection. We have all these as Labour Party storm INEC with 60 lawyers to demand access to election materials. And then we have another one that says party has not received any electoral stock for inspection. This is also coming, all these coming from the Labour Party. And then we have some of the stories here that say NSC threatens nationwide strike over fuel cash scarcity. CBN clear air on acceptance of old Naira notes. We have YOB had sweeping victory in South and Southeast. This is coming from Okowa on page 4 of the Daybreak newspaper. And of course, we have this morning also
I can't wait to go and read that.
NCC approves harmonized short code directs implementation. Pro Tinubu supporters storm Villa. One article will be on page 9. And then we also have Governors Guba, 5 political parties declare support for Sanwo-Olu, of course, on page 10 of the newspaper. And then we have another story here. The INEC chairman with the Labour Legal Party team, they met yesterday, and we're still awaiting the outcome of that meeting today. And so we have Oshun Goba appeal court reserved judgments in Governor Adeleke's suit. We have that story on page 12. And then we also have the last story here coming from the Daybreak this morning. You work against me in Rivers. Peter Obi tells reply Wike. Is really a sad one this morning. And of course, we also have this morning coming from this day newspaper. Tinubu have no preferred candidates. for 10th National Assembly leadership. We also have the major headlines that say CBN directs commercial banks to accept pay out old 500 naira and 1,000 naira notes. We also have this morning that says another story here that says Apex Court needs no presidential directive to comply with Supreme Court's order. Apex Bank, beg your pardon, needs no presidential directive to comply with Supreme Court's order, says President. This is coming. This all these stories you could see on this day newspaper this morning. We also have a story here. Presidency insists that president has never done anything to obstruct course of justice. And of course, we also have another story here. NLC give 7 days ultimatum to the federal government on to end currency scarcity, threatens strike. Emefiele debunked fake news, denies alleged plot against Tinubu. This is coming from the CBN governor. And of course, we also have we could see teams on the team at the Oscars. She's making us proud. She's making Nigeria and of course African proud, and we are happy to see this. When we are happy also when women go places, when women do things, it's really a good one. All this you could see on this day newspaper this morning. And then we have also this is the last story this morning. Falana, Nigeria's political class don't want democracy to survive. This is on page 12. And of course, that is somebody I respect a lot. And whatever comes from him, I tend to look at it or go through critically because he's somebody with wisdom, as you ask me. He has been a son, and of course, he's doing well as far as I am concerned. Of course, this is my personal opinion. And then we have the last story from this day newspaper. We could see here also that we could see here also some of the stories. Obi replies church leaders. Elder statement says Tinubu not God's will in presidential poll. We are on this day newspaper, not the daybreak.
Oh, okay,
And
this
then
day.
yes, this is coming from Obi now. Obi replies religious leader, church leaders, says an elder statesman that Tinubu's is not God's will in this presidential election. So he believed that Tinubu is not God's will, and that is why he is going further with the judiciary. And these are some of the stories this morning on this day newspaper. If you want to get a copy for yourself and go through and see for yourself. And then we have just two paper left. I bet one paper left, and then we wrap up this session. We have the Tribune, the Nigerian Tribune this morning, and the major headline says
You said
CBN to
you are
banks. CBN to banks.
my
Old 200 naira, 500 naira, 1,000 naira notes remain legal tender. This is coming from CBN to the banks now. The writers say restore usage till December 31st as ruled by Supreme Court. It is good that now CBN is now obeying the court the way they should have done a long time ago. And then we also have Buhari exonerate selves from alleged disobedience to Supreme Court. All these stories you could see on page 3 of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. And then we have some of the headlines also say INEC stales Labour's party's protest, receives opposition's party's legal team on page 16. And they went further to say, we have nothing to hide, Commission's chairman. This is coming from Mahmood. And then we also have NAS principal officers, Tinubu APC, NWC to decide on zoning on page 5 of the newspaper. Warns aspirant against desperation, sense of entitlement. Of course, that is all they do. They are desperate and they have this sense of entitlement, like it's their father's heritage. Anyway, we move forward to another story here that says appeal court reserves judgment in Osun governorship election on page 5 of the Tribune, Nigerian Tribune. Of course, we have another story here that says Emefiele debunks newspaper reports of plotting against Tinubu on page 3 of the Nigerian Tribune. Tinubu is coming for you, Emefiele. I just feel so sorry for you right now. And then we have another thing here that say, Ogu traditional ruler buried according to Islamic injunction on page 27 of the newspaper. Of course, we have another story here that says candidates of YPP, ZLP, 7 other parties declare for Somolu on page 16 of the newspaper. And these are all we have this morning from the dailies. And of course, we also there's a story here that is, I just want you to shade a light on before we call it a day for today. We have a story here that says Emefiele debunks fake news, denies alleged plot against Tinubu. We saw that story here today, some of the headlines that says Emefiele is plotting against the president-elect. So my point is, where did they get this news from? Of course, he has to exonerate himself immediately. You would not want to have a fallout with the incoming president. We all know Jagaban, of course, is not somebody you want to have issues with. And it's really a sad one also that right now we live in a country where the fear of godfatherism wants to make you not to do the right thing. It's really a sad one.
In fact, the truth is, what is going on in the country with Tinubu's presidency? Now, Emefiele is the sacrificial lamb. You understand? Is the sacrificial lamb. And somebody have to die for it. Emefiele, you've been enjoying it, so die for it. That's what I have to say. Don't be afraid. Jesus Christ died for us. Why are you not ready to die for Nigeria? Be ready to die for us. You understand? These are the things I keep saying. Who is ready to sacrifice? You're ready to enjoy from Nigeria, but you're not ready to sacrifice for Nigeria. Now the light is on you. Tinubu said you were against him. You never wanted him to be president. You guys had plotted and made sure there's not enough money so Baba will not be able to ring the election. You know, Baba have so much money to throw out to now block the road. Now Baba the best. Does Tinubu need a rocket science? Does he need to be a rocket scientist to know that the plot was against him? He has so much money to throw around. They had to stop him because if I allowed Baba to spend money, things for scatter.
But even as he not spend money, people are still challenging the process. So I just feel like
at the end, when they couldn't spend money, they started using physical. They went physical. They were attacking people in Lagos everywhere. Baba, it is true. You stop people from voting in Ojo. Facts. These are facts. These are not things we should be afraid of. It's not good for tomorrow. We say this so that you can correct it. In my favor, you now. Tomorrow will be against you. You never knew. See, these are the things we do.
Yes.
You might be.
And then we feel.
Yeah. Go on, please.
And then also, I feel like Buhari exonerating self from this naira swap policy is really shameful. If you ask me, this is a personal opinion. We have been in this Nigerians have been suffering, and then he went further to say that he is not to be blamed for the plight of Nigerians. This coming from a president is not something that is reasonable, if you ask me. Of course, we know the suffering.
Princess, you don't.
Yes.
This is surprising to you. It's not surprising me. The president has not been active. The old man was told, if we do this, this will happen. The implementation is what the Baba is talking about. I have said, when I tell me say like this, I said, okay. As soon as things went bad, you should have changed. That's what Baba is saying. Baba is not an active man. He's how many years? You see, this is the same reason we never said Tinubu should be president. The same thing. We talk about activity. You know, the job is so demanding. You can imagine who is the president of Nigeria, how much trouble they face in a day. And you giving that job to an old man. Baba, they go home, they go eat cow, sleep from one place. What do you concern him? Baba eat finish now, he's going to sleep there. Anywhere Buhari eats, he sleeps. That is the age. Even me now, there's some food I'll eat, I won't get up. How can you expect that old man to face that kind of task? I'm going to go with Tinubu now. Baba see they sleep, Tinubu see they sleep now. It's a punishment of this
really
old man.
Yes, it's really pathetic that this will come from Buhari as a president, and then you feel like you are not to be blamed for what the citizens have been going through, the suffering, the killings. And then tomorrow also you're going to tell us blame the military also for the people that have been killed so far. It has nothing to do with me. Blame
Of course, now
blame what's it called? CBN
it's
and
not
other
responsible for the insecurity now. They refuse to give state police. Your police could not guide the state, and you said it's not your fault. Oh, in fact, these guys, you guys are jokers.
It's really a sad one, and that is something that maybe later in the day, when we're doing the next show, that is something I want to progress on. I
Yes,
don't see
please.
that is coming from a president. I feel like it is high time these people try to take they should take responsibilities once in a while. You cannot
Yes.
pull off and pull out your head, pull
Princess,
out
what
that
I was doing
it
foreign
has happened.
analysis. Sometimes I know the Nigerians don't want other people intervening into their affairs. That's why I don't want to weigh in other analysts. If not, I would have loved somebody more neutral to comment on the action of the president in these few days. The man is old,
Of
yes,
course,
it's an excuse.
tomorrow we're going to have an analysis on that as regarding to these statements coming from the president, because this is the president of a nation, a state as Nigeria, and then this is coming from the president that I am not to be blamed for this. I am not part of this.
Princess,
The Emefiele shouldn't have waited for me or said he's waiting for my other. He is supposed to do what he's supposed to do. So
Princess,
this shows
who is
that we
even
need
releasing the press statement? Did you hear the president speak? Is it not what I'm saying now? You guys are just wasting your time. Has the president ever come out to be able to talk? He's an old man, tired. So people are
This
talking
shows
to him.
this shows also that we live in a confused country where you don't know who is talking, where that statement is coming from. Of course, we
If
could
your
see that
president
from
is
a
confused,
maybe
how can you
debunking.
not be confused?
Yes,
The person leading us
we
is
could
confused, so we are confused.
we could also see that from Emefiele this morning debunking the papers of yesterday, the reports of yesterday. That shows that they are all confused. They say something and tomorrow
Emefiele is only running from trouble. Leave Emefiele. They said Emefiele, now
it's
you Tinubu will not be president. Tinubu is now president. Baba, Emefiele is on the run. I can understand Emefiele. It's just the president that is confused. He's an old man. He has dementia. And in fact, the other one has dementia before he gets into office. I don't know what the next 8 years are for us. Because somebody, like I said, like Faith said, if Tinubu was not a president, he was able to ring election. And when he becomes president, will we have election in the next 4 years? The answer is a no. Because it's going to make sure his man is INEC man. He has been able to get away with this. So by the time they will announce the result, and the man will leave the country, nothing will happen. Nothing has happened now. Does anything happen? Look at all the damages they've done. Nothing happened. So this is the fear we live in. Honestly, the system needs a change. God will help us. I don't know. I don't call God for this kind of things, but I don't know what to do
And you
anymore.
say we should not call God. Daddy Chris, don't be like these people that say something and tomorrow they say another. You have said it
Please,
over
we have
time.
a choice now. I
On
didn't
God.
say I
God will
don't
not
believe
come
in
down
God.
to
I said
help
we should
us.
do something about it. I believe in God, but I don't think God is really going to change this. We need to change this. I said, may God give us the wisdom.
Of course, at this stage, God will help us, and
Yeah.
that's a good note to wrap up the show this morning. Thank you so much for being part of the show today. We do this again tomorrow, and of course, we're going to have one or two analysts tomorrow on the show to progress on this topic of very weighty issues. And of course, we know we are running out of time, but don't forget our Nigerian Week London. Be part of it, and of course, the face of SRO TV also. Registration is ongoing. Be part of it. Daddy Chris, thank you so much for being part of the show. And of course, for Nigerians out there, whatever you do, stay at alert, stay safe as you go and stay safe. These are critical times, and we know election is just the governorship elections are just around the corner. A lot of things are going on. But on your own, do your own policy and stay safe. Since they cannot come and protect you, people just be at alert and do have a very beautiful day. Daddy Chris, thank you for being part of the show. I remain yours truly, Princess Kessie. Do have a
Princess,
nice
let me
day.
warn you. I'm an old man. I'm like Buhari. You don't wake old men up every morning and say, "Oh, come on, the show time is this. Oh, the show time is this." That's the kind of thing you put the president.
I
So the
didn't
man is
wake
going to
you up.
collapse.
I did not
So
wake you up.
and
I
nobody,
did not
nobody
wake
is
you up,
giving me
sir,
injection
today.
like them. You know. Okay. All right, Princess.
I'm so sorry, Father. Don't worry. Very soon we'll make up for all this, sir. Don't worry.
Thank you.
Just
Let's
very
do
soon. We're
better.
progressing by the day.
All
Thank you
right.
so much for being part of the show. Do have a very beautiful day, sir. See you tomorrow.
Okay.
RTV London, in partnership with NTA TV Enterprise, present the maiden edition of the Nigerian Week in the capital of the world, London. A wonderful blend of entertainment, business, and networking, displaying a wide range of arts, national cash crops, financial products and services, and real estate for huge extra opportunity in diaspora. Look no further. The 36 states of the Federation, the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture, Trade and Investment, the Nigerian Film Corporation, and host of others will be in attendance. Date 15 to 21st of May 2023. Venue Lighthouse, Camberwell, Southeast London. For details, log on www.superiorradiotelevision.com/Nigerian Week or call +447 549 513 619 or +234 814 358 2856. The Nigerian Week, celebrating